All right, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be. I am Vince McMahon, and I have decided to take a break from my takeover of the WWE to talk about The Last of Us on HBO Max, the very first episode. With me, as always, is my co host, Zam and Gary. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing all right.
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. And let's break it down. What'd you guys think of the very first episode? What'd you think of it? What was your expectations? Did it live up to your expectations? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Zam, I'll start with you.
Fantastic. I've seen like the beginning of Apocalypse. I've seen that done here and there in certain films, and it's probably some of the most interesting and entertaining moments seeing the beginning of the changing of the world, so to speak. Yeah, the beginning of the end of the world, and seeing that and how they slow burned it initially. You're seeing little teasers of it here and there, and if you played the game, you obviously get an idea of what's going to happen. And so I'm expecting certain things to happen, but little things like when Joel's daughter is in the neighbor's house and the grandma's twitching. You know what I mean? All of that. I think even when she was in school, like the friend's arm is twitching a little bit. Yep. You know what I mean? Maybe all of that. So you just see, it's coming, and then all of a sudden, boom! It hits you, and it's just fantastic. And it is an episode of two halves, like spending the second half, in the present day, as well. It was also just as interesting as well, giving you an idea of what the world is like, and it's a sad place. Even if you did survive, it's just misery and miserable, and having to do stupid things. It's like an open world prison. It's like that, and obviously these things are about to come to a head. The actors in this, are absolutely fantastic. There's a budget in this as well. It looks like the video game. It feels like the video game.
It fucked me up more than the video game.
Yeah, exactly. So often adaptations try to give you an Easter egg, going, "Oh, look, this is just like the video game." But this has
but
to,
you
this
feel
has,
it.
This has to be like the video game in every aspect, not just Easter eggs. You know what I mean? And this is that video game. This is one of the best adaptations of video game to screen I've seen so far. Shush you lot. You always do it when So yeah. I don't want to keep yabbering on. I know we still have Bossman to hear.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Bossman.
I thought this was absolutely fantastic. I think that, I agree with Sam to some extent. I think the good part was that there was enough difference that it felt like something new. Like, they weren't totally just going, we're just going to do the video game again. There was enough changes there that it felt like a new take on it. Like, it felt like an adaptation. It didn't just feel like they were just changing the things just to do a TV series. And I thought that was really impressive. Like, for a start, the bit right at the beginning where they have that talk show, and John Hannah is going on about, the thing that we need to be afraid of isn't fungi or bacteria. It's fungi, not bacteria or viruses. And I thought when he started going into it, like how things are getting hotter and how it would evolve, I thought that was really well done. And then we get, I don't know if you guys have talked about this yet, but the intro, the title screen, it's very Game of Thrones like, but for a good thing like that. The red sort of fungus color, like spreading out and making the city and making all that. I thought that was really well done.
Yeah, that's fantastic actually. Yeah,
and the thing is that I like the fact that they took more time to tell Sarah's story. Like, the fact is that we get more time with her. Like for a start, I genuinely thought they're not going to kill Sarah in there. So I thought, because the way they were showing it, the fact that we are following her about her day, the fact that she has to wake her dad up, and the fact that she goes to school and she gets his watch repaired, and I just like there's like different, as I was just talking about, there's different things with we see police and fire trucks, and then the woman in the watch saying, no, you have to go home, and then pulls the lid down, and then she goes to Tommy gets put in jail for defending somebody, and then we see her go to sleep, and the dog is tapping on the window. I thought that was very well done. That we don't see everything in focus. The lady doing the twitching and that, all that sort of stuff. That was just really well done. And then the bit that really creeps me out is when she goes in and the guy's there and you're hearing this sound, and she turns up and you see this like things going out of her mouth, like, oh my god. And it shows stand up. This woman has basically been comatose for basically the entire show since this, and then obviously she just gets in and goes and that's changed after her, like, and then she just falls to the ground. I was like, oh my god, I hope that actress is all right. And then it just goes around, and Joe just whacks her across the head with the wrench.
Right.
And then sorry, I'm not going on too much, but then the bit that I knew was going to be heart-wrenching is because it was more or less shot to shot what they did in the games, which was the shooting of Sarah scene. Because then the thing is, he's holding her, and then the thing looks something, and like it's the thing where it says what, and then he says, poof, and then he goes down and says I'm sorry, and then he gets shot in the head. It's like it's almost shot for shot in the game, and I think that the stuff like that, and then the burning buildings, the stuff like shot for shot, but with enough difference. I was like, yes, I mean,
yeah, it felt like it was new and old at the same time. If I make any sense, that's what this felt like. But okay, let's get into it. It starts.
I just want to say there was no chance, Bossman, for you to think that the daughter was going to survive.
There was no way possible.
Chance, Bossman, and people would have lost their shit if that happened. The whole point of focusing on her was to feel the loss when she did die. You know what I mean? So there was, that's why there was no chance of her surviving. I mean, that's the whole point of Joel being the character, that he needs that loss. Without that loss, he's not the character that we know him as. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
But okay, getting into it. All right, it starts out in 1968, I believe, and these two scientists are talking about, well, someday there will be a global fucking pandemic. It'll be a fungus that comes through and people will get infected and people will die. And people are kind of skeptical, like, oh, okay, it may or may not happen. Fast forward to 2003, which was a really nice touch. I like that it actually takes place.
I'm sorry, Jose.
Yeah.
Jose, that I want to go on about that.
Go ahead.
That opening scene, because first of all, we got John Hannah, who a lot of people remember him from the Mummy series. He plays Rick's brother-in-law. Anyway, I like the fact that he mentions that this is not necessarily a disease. It's like a takeover. Like this fungus, it will infect. It will infect your body, of course, but it's not there to kill you, but to control you.
Yep.
And change you and all of that. And it was absolutely frightening hearing that, because it kind of really sets you up of like, okay, this is the route they're going down. And there's no cure or anything along those lines as well. Like, that was a really good setup. I'm not sure if we're going to see John Hannah at all, because that flashback was in 1968, and this is now 2023. So there's over. It's like 55 years have passed. You know what I mean?
He looked like an old man back in 1968.
Yeah,
I would think if anything, you're going to get an audio tape, but that'll probably be about it. Because in the video game, they did it that way.
Okay.
But yeah, I totally agree with you that because the other scientist is going, oh well, we will no fungus. He said, can you vote? He said no, because hot. He says, what happens if things go wrong? It's like, oh, so then it's also global warming. Because there's kind of subtle messages. Because I mean, these things in real life do exist. These alien ant things. It's like kind of afraid, kind of scary when you really think about it, considering what happened with flaming COVID and everything.
Yeah, considering that we're still going through a global fucking pandemic right now as we speak in this country here in America, and for you guys too, in the entire world for that matter. Yeah,
the whole world. Some countries still have COVID protocols.
Yep.
I think like in some parts of the Far East, like Japan, they're still treating it the same way as the rest of the world was.
Yeah,
at the beginning, yeah.
Okay, but yeah, getting back to it, like, okay, we fast forward to 2003, and I have to say, I love that it took place in that year instead of 2013, like in the original game. I don't know what it is, but I like the fact that it took place before cell phones got big. I like that it took place before the fact that the world had the internet as big as it is now. I like
before
that
social
detail.
media, basically.
Yeah.
Before social media, yeah.
I like that detail, but yeah, it starts with like, Sarah waking up Joel, being like, "Hey, come on, we got to get the day started. I want to make you pancakes," and he's like, "I don't really fucking need these pancakes," and he drinks his orange juice, and he and Tommy are hanging out, and they're actually talking about the pandemic in Jakarta, which is like some other part of the world, because the pandemic is actually ongoing. They just don't know how fast it's spread yet. What'd you guys think about that particular scene in the show?
Well, it reminded. Sorry, go on, Bossman.
No,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, you ever seen the Bird Box, or what was it called, with Sandra Bullock?
That's what
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like it reminded me of that a little bit. Like they're already hearing about stuff happening in the other part of the world, but they're in their part of the world, so they think they're safe. But that's not necessarily the case, and that's the sort of idea I got initially as well. So yeah, that's what I initially thought. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because the thing is, they don't really go into detail. It's just kind of something and Joel even goes, "Where's Jakarta in the Middle East?" When it's like, "Is it some country?" And it's like, and then his dad goes, "No, it's the capital of Indonesia." It's like the fact that his daughter is a lot smarter than him, has a lot of things, and he kind of like see that kind of he's proud that his daughter's going to be more successful than he is, because he kind of. There's also other things like, for example, like the hint that both Joel and Tommy are veterans of the original Desert Storm, because he had like the little what's it called, the little there's the word for it when it's in a truck. It's like banner, whatever it's called. That's on the truck to say combat, veterans of Desert Storm and stuff like that. So
no, it just, without it going into detail, it just shows you, look, combat veteran. So you know that you're getting a guy who knows how to take care of himself. That's all it needed. No detail on him, what military he was in or anything like that. Just a sticker saying combat veteran. This guy can fire guns. He can kick ass. He's very astute. And all of this sort of stuff. I loved it. Just a simple sticker. That's all you needed. Yep. Brilliant stuff.
Yep. And
let me quickly read some of these comments. Daniel Vaughn said, "Most alive today owe their lives to the simple machine called Ep1, which allowed only 50% of the population to survive the Black Plague." He's a fountain of knowledge, old Daniel Vaughn says. And we're lucky we're not seeing another virus with as high an R0 mortality value today. Don't get me worried, because I've always thought zombies is a fictional thing. I never expect it to be real life. But anyway, Cousin Cheetah also says, "I love the part where Joel bosses out and Mecca started." Of course he did.
Yeah, of course he did. Yeah. But okay, so if I lose track and fast forward, please forgive me, because I'm not really the recap guy. Zam does that better than I do. But okay, so basically it fast forwards to like school, and like Zam says, you see some of the kids start to twitch. You think like they're having a seizure or some such shit, and you don't really think much of it at first. And then the teacher's like, "All right, guys, your reports are due by tomorrow. You got to get this shit done." She gets out of there, goes to, take the watch to the shop and that kind of shit, and sees like the neighbors across the way. They all live like in a small town, that kind of shit. And she gets the watch fixed, but then I guess the shopkeeper's wife or whoever comes out and says, "You need to get the fuck out of here right now. Shit's going down." You could hear the fire trucks and the policemen, all going by, because the global pandemic has invaded Texas. That's where they live. I don't know if that was mentioned in the episode, but
yeah, well, in the beginning, it starts off with them being in Texas before the present day means they go to Boston.
Yep.
Yeah.
But okay, basically it's like, you need to get the fuck home. And then she like runs into the Adlers and whatever, and then you start to see Mrs. Adler, the elderly Adler, just like stare at the dog and twitch, and you're thinking, "Oh shit, she's infected."
That scene is brilliant, where like, because when she's going through the DVDs, and then like you kind of like focused on her and you don't see anything, but then obviously you start seeing.
Yeah, she's like twitching, she's losing it.
It's because it is really scary, because it's not that. It's kind of because she's been comatose this entire time, and then obviously she does that. You're like, ooh. Because Sarah doesn't see it. She just like kind of turns the other way.
Yeah,
I like the way. Sorry for saying this, but the lady who opened the door to, I think it was the old woman's daughter saying, or daughter-in-law saying, she's a bit of a Bible basher, isn't she? And she said something which made me laugh. She says, three crosses means forgive or something like that.
No. It's 1 cross plus 3 nils equals forgiven. It's like, for heaven's sake.
What the hell?
yeah.
Really southern,
Yeah.
But then, like time passes, and then they're all home and just kind of hanging out and chilling, and then she gives him the watch, and he's like, he got a DVD of something that's not really relevant, and then time passes, and then Sarah wakes up, and I guess
no, because you missed out of. Tommy phones up Joel to say that.
He's in jail. He's like, "Hey, motherfucker, I need you to come get me." And he's like, "Damn it, Tommy, what'd you do?" He was like, "I got in a bar fight," which I think what happened was a bar patron got infected, and then Tommy had to punch that guy out. That's at least what I'm thinking, anyway. But they never really elaborate on that.
This is where I think we might have got some scenes that ended up on the cutting room floor, because I do believe that we would have, if there was enough time or whatever, we would have followed it. Yeah, we would have followed Joel getting. Is it Michael, the name of the other guy?
Tommy
to getting Tommy out of jail, and we would have followed him. And because the moment he came back home to save his daughter, they already knew what the hell was going on.
Yep.
Well, to a degree. So
well,
I think
I disagree. Yeah. I disagree because this entire time until this point, we've been following what Sarah's doing and what Sarah's experiencing.
Yeah, I know that, Bossman, but we haven't seen what he's doing. So the fact that he immediately comes back home and he knows what's going on, but because they got their gun out, they got their wrench out, means that they would have experienced something. Joel would have experienced something that we probably didn't get the luxury of seeing, because it's some things are a part of the editing process. Like they've only got they only want to do 1.5 hour first episode, so they couldn't squeeze everything in. That's all I'm thinking. I'm not saying it's a definite, but I do feel like there was something there that we never got to necessarily see. And if that's the case, then it's unfortunate, because I would love to see a director's cut of this.
Yeah, I hope that they do one. But getting back on it.
It could be a flashback in like maybe the next couple of episodes.
It could. They could do that.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind that. That's a nice thought. Yeah.
Yep. Okay, and then basically what happens is like Sarah wakes up in the middle of the night to helicopter sounds and cars screeching, and like the pandemic is fucking taking over Texas at this point, and like there's explosions and the emergency alert system is going like crazy. She sees the emergency alert system going off, and like it's saying like, okay, everybody needs to stay inside. Sarah goes to check on Mercy the dog, and Mercy is just frightened. And then she hears like pots and pans and sees that trail of blood. And then her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Adler, is all infected. And she has basically mangled her entire family, so to speak. And Sarah ends up seeing Mrs. Adler and her husband. And her husband, I think, has his arm all like messed up.
He's bitten. He's like on the verge of being infected, on the verge of changing.
Yeah.
The Jesus lady, she's already being chewed up on, and Adler's got like all this shit coming out of her mouth as well.
Yep. That was terrifying.
And this is something to keep in mind too. This is the basic form of when you become infected, because we will be elaborating on this toward the end. But just to keep that in mind, folks. All right, so now Sarah runs outside after Mrs. Adler just becomes all like possessed and changed and all that kind of shit. And then Joel out of nowhere comes out with a shotgun, and he's like, "Get your ass in this truck right now. We got to go. Tommy, come on." And then they start driving, and then they're like, "We got to get down to 71. We got to get the hell out of here. We got to get to Mexico." That's their way of thinking. But the army, unfortunately, has the highway blocked off.
I've got to say, you forget that I love the shot that's basically recreated for the game with the burning building. It's like, that's what some other place, and it's like totally on fire. And then to go past that kid and their family like on the side of the road, like
we got to stop, and then they're like, "No, man, we got to keep it rolling," and they just keep it rolling. Yeah,
Yeah, the
woman
woman
was
was
cooking
cooking.
oatmeal cookies.
Yeah, she was cooking raisin oatmeal cookies.
Oh,
You make fucking chocolate chip. If you're not
yes,
making chocolate chip, what the
something's
fuck's wrong
wrong with
with
you.
you?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But at least you're making something that you know that you can't afford to feed to your pets. You have to eat it yourself because pets are not allowed to eat chocolate. So
Mhm.
you're doing the right thing all the way around. You can't give it to your pets, and you can only eat it yourself.
Yep.
Make goddamn chocolate chip fucking cookies.
Okay,
I
so
want
go ahead.
I want to say, like, have you ever guys seen 28 Days Later?
I
Yes.
need to see it. I need to see that.
That's
I know it's
Because
good. Yeah.
that was the first film I saw where they had fast zombies.
Mm.
Yeah, and like zombies. I mean, and one of the things I liked about these zombies were not necessarily. I mean, like that old lady, like her whole body, she's been sitting in a chair, probably using a Zimmer frame. She gets some zombie power in her, and now all of a sudden she's fucking Usain Bolt. You know what I mean? And
No, but you got to remember
yeah.
that, like, because it's like they said in the 1968 thing, through remedies necessary. So probably the virus is giving the body like some
Yeah, penicillin and stuff like that. Yeah,
adrenaline and stuff like that. So
I agree. I'm totally fine with that. But because fast zombies are frightening. You know what I
Yes.
mean? They are absolutely frightening. I like also the fact that they're cumbersome as well, and they're a bit clumsy because
Yep.
they've got no necessary organ. They're not very organized. They
Agree,
don't know when
I
to
agree with
stop
that,
and all of
Yep.
like all of that.
And
But
this is nothing compared to what we're gonna get when they get into that building. But we'll elaborate. Yeah, Contagious 2011 is a scare vision of what could happen today. That's true. That is true. Okay, so getting back on topic, or getting back to the recap. Now we're in disaster zone mode, and my favorite scene. I don't know if you guys like this touch. It was when like everything was coming down, and the fucking plane just went boom. That was epic. I wish they would have had that in the game.
Jose, maybe you remember the game
Yeah.
better than I do. Does that happen in the game? Because I can't exactly remember because of.
No, there is no plane that comes down, but I wish they would have added that in the game. Looking back, like everything's on fire though, so they got that aspect right. But I like that they had a plane come down and crash,
well,
and that was what caused the explosion.
Well, for me, I like the fact that we got like this sort of perspective from within the car, pretty much. Without, and like they're not fucking around. Like people,
No.
there's a family with a kid. Don't stop. You know what I mean? All of this sort of all these sort of scenarios. Like there's people on the streets. Like there's people on the streets. Just drive through them. All of this, and it's all coming from within the car. Kind of reminded me of that episode of Hawkeye when they were in the car. I'm not sure if you remember that episode. When they were escaping from the tracksuit mafia, and so I know that's obviously not for some people that's an insult of a comparison, but it's the same thing, and I like that. It's a really good perspective. The panic as well, just seeing the world going to shit and not understanding why. It was great. I loved it.
Yep. But then, okay, basically what happens is everything is going on. The explosion happens, and then a piece of shrapnel or whatever the fuck got into the car and knocked Sarah out and just fucks everything up, leading to the car just being all like turned over, and they got to figure out how to get out. Sarah, I think, is bleeding. I know she was in the game, or she was busted up pretty bad. Joel got kind of busted up on his side. Tommy, I think, made it out all right out of all three of them. And then it's
they
like
get separated because Tommy has to go a different way to here, and he has to carry through the streets. That was really terrifying when he goes through the streets, and then all of a sudden you see like a bunch of these like people like shoot on people, and all of a sudden like one just gets up and starts like chasing them. That was really terrifying because that's kind of like
you don't know who's the zombie, who's not. It was
yeah, that was really, really epic. And then like the scene where he's like, okay, Sarah, we got to go now. And then he's like, can you run? No. And then they run through that diner, and then that zombie, that was the quickest zombie I think I've ever seen in my life. Like that dude was hauling ass to try to get to Tommy and Sarah. And he fucking fell over the counter and fell over like all the supplies and all that kind of shit. It was so cool.
It was so brilliant. And I know to myself, how they're going to get out of this. And then boom, like the military guy shoots him. And then once the military guy had them, and he's getting yes sir, yes sir,
Yep.
Yeah,
okay,
yes
sir.
sir.
Okay,
thought,
sir.
all right.
Yep.
He said yes sir to the orders of like killing these people.
Yep.
You know, killing Joel and his daughter. And you knew that was the case. And I'm thinking, okay, now how are they going to get out of this one?
And I told you not to fucking move. Yeah.
So because the daughter's injured, they don't realize why she's injured. As far as they're concerned, she's infected. They don't see the bigger. They don't understand at all. You know what I mean? So yeah.
But all right, we're right on point. Actually, yeah. Joel pleads to the officer that he and his daughter are not infected. Tommy ends up shooting the man after the soldier ends up shooting at Joel and Sarah. Sarah ends up getting shot, and Tommy ends up shooting the shoulder or shooting the soldier, and then Sarah just starts breathing and hyperventilating because it's over for her. And this is what hardens Joel to become the man that he is in the video game and in the TV show as well. I thought that the way they did it in the TV show was way better than how they did it in the game.
I'm totally with you, because the fact is that like, because like in the game she kind of goes a bit quick, whereas this like he's kind of like, you know, stay with me, like everything he's doing is kind of making it that bit worse. It's like because the guy has no medical training to kind of treat this, and he's like and then, like the way that she's going, it's like it's kind of, and I was kind of like I was like all the time I was like because we like, you know, I've got younger members of my family. This was kind of like hit me like in the feels, like, you know, because this young girl who we've been following all the time is like, you know, dying in front of our eyes. It's like, you know, the way that he's like, you're holding her, creating her. It's like, oh, damn. It was like a gut punch.
Yeah, it fucked me up. I ain't gonna lie, it really did. It hit me.
I was thinking, when's it gonna happen? I thought her death happened the moment that rock hit their car from the plane crash.
Yep.
I thought, oh, okay, this is how she's gonna die. But no, it ended up being obviously the military man shooting at them. So, like, in a way, like, she became a shield for Joel, unintentionally, of course, because he's carrying her. So she took the shots instead of him.
Yep.
And,
And she dies right there. And then time fast forwards to 20 years later to current day, 2023.
He's 56 now as well at this age, yeah.
Yeah, and everything is completely fucked up. Like, you know, like picture like the X-Men in the comics where like everything is destroyed in the futuristic world. That's how it looked in this series. It looked like everything was all fucked up. Like, yeah, buildings were standing and there were signs and all that shit, but anything you know of the current world is gone. That's how it looked. Go ahead.
Sorry, Bossman. One second. Let me just quickly comment here. The plane crash hit harder, having watched the footage from the recent Nepal. Was that? Sorry, that must have passed me by, but still the safest way to travel. Yeah. As a vet, Tommy knew what was happening, and Luna did a great job of portraying the heartbreak while trying to stay military focused. Oh, I had no idea Tommy was a vet.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Sorry, a veteran.
Oh, okay.
You see, you guys in America, like you guys like use the word vet, and then when I think of vet, I think of a veterinarian.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, all right. Anyway.
All right. So getting back to it. Okay. So yeah, the world is all turned out, all like destroyed and everything, and depending on the symptoms, a mark or on a leg or arm migrating to the face and neck, a human can transform anywhere to being infected from 5 minutes to a full day. Bodies are being burned, and there's a curfew between 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. to fight infected and insurrection. And what they use now instead of currency is ration cards, which I thought that was like a nice touch. Like, to, you know, earn your place in this new world, you have to do service. There is no such thing as like benefits. There is no such thing as insurance, Social Security, that kind of shit. Like, you actually have to work in order to survive.
Capitalism, it never ends. It just evolves.
Well, I've got to say that the start of this particular part is great, because like we follow this little kid like kind of stumbling through the forest, and then all of a sudden it opens up to like Boston 2023, and we see like, you know, a lot of the Boston landscape. And I mean, how they did that was great. It's probably like CGI and stuff, but it was still very well done. Like when she's going to like the greenery on top of like buildings, and then all of a sudden the kid collapses, and then they take her into it, and they do the test on her, and it comes back red, and she goes, "We can have toys, you can have you play with it. We're just going to do some medicine." She gives the medicine, and all of a sudden we go to a fire pit where they're throwing bodies into this pit, and like, you know, like,
that throw that little girl in the fire,
that was heartbreaking. Dude,
I can do that, and Joel just looks like okay, and he just does it anyway. He don't give a fuck. He's just like, you got to do what you got to do.
after 20 years, I think he just knows, and she was already dead anyway, so they don't take any chances. But sometimes apocalyptic worlds can look quite beautiful in their own horrendous way.
Yeah,
like seeing the overgrowth and stuff like that. So from like 28 days later, it switches to I Am Legend. You know what I mean? With the Will Smith zombie movie, which is fucking shit. But anyway, this is like a better version of it, that's for sure. But like seeing all the overgrowth and stuff like that, like the earth reclaiming the land again to a degree.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah,
but I thought they did a really, really good job world building, because they set up somebody coming through, getting taken in, and what kind of things they do to kind of detect whether they have the virus. What they do if they find out that you have the virus. And it's a lot of there's a lot of lines of faces, but at the end, if you got it, you die.
Yeah, if you got it, you're done. Like, that's just how it is. Like, you're at your end.
Yeah,
and that should and this is going to be further explored as we get further into the show.
So like the Russian card stuff was great as well. Like, because like the fact that he's doing this and he gets he's like, well, this is that, and is there anything tomorrow, blah blah, and he's kind of like setting up like a little more building that. And I love the fact that when he goes to the execution, like there's a guard who like calls him over and says you short by this much. It's like this guy's basically doing everything he had to do to like probably real life. Well, before this, he was probably like as straight laced as you could, because the way he reacted first, but kind of that he's had to become something else now.
Yep.
Well, it gives you an idea what this world's about now. Like outside of those walls, there's all these different factions. There's raiders, there's slavers, pirates, all of this sort of stuff going on now. Because that's what the world has become now. In this post-apocalyptic society, and seeing him trade for like drugs and stuff,
cigarettes
like that,
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like
prison, as I said earlier.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Like, it's like, and the analogy I was gonna use is like you're in jail, but you are on the outside world. Like, that's what this kind of reminds me of. But okay, going forward, skipping ahead a little bit. Anyone that is found leaving the quarantine zone unauthorized.
Sorry, Jose. I wanted to ask you, how do you get infected without being bitten?
I wonder that too, because I don't know if they ever really explained that. Because I know they said like it was in the air, but they didn't really elaborate on that.
Yeah, because in the game it's the spores, isn't it? Well, I don't think there are spores.
If it's actually, okay, that's how it is. It's spores. Like, if you breathe in the shit, you become infected.
But I don't think they've got spores in this particular. From what I've heard, they don't have spores in this particular.
Yeah, you're not allowed outside after dark to stop the spread of insurrection. Yeah.
Yeah, it's martial law. So.
And that's the point I was getting to. So anyone that was found leaving the quarantine zone unauthorized, authorized or unauthorized into the zone is executed. And as you could see, like Joel,
hanging people.
Yeah, they're hanging people.
Yeah, making a spectator thing as well. Like you're getting it. Like this is the fucked up thing, because you really need everyone you can get to re-civilize the world again to a degree, and yet they're hanging them, and it's fucked. I think one comment here from Vance. I think the boards that Joel removed were
key.
Key. They showed the dust floating around. Like
good catch, spores. Daniel Vance. Yeah, good catch, because I noticed that too. I did see dust floating around, so I'm like, okay, so spores are a thing. And that's how you can become infected without actually being bitten.
But it just seems so. It just seems so easy to be infected.
Mm-hmm.
It seems easier to be infected than not. That's my thing as well. Like, anyway, sorry.
Okay, so here we see Joel again, and now he's like the one making deals with the FEDRA agent, a federal disaster response agency. For ration cards and supplies, and trying to get a vehicle to get the fuck out. Joel and Tess, which I thought the person that they got for Tess did a fantastic job. And basically what the storyline is here is this time in the show, Joel actually wants to find Tommy, because Tommy in the game kind of felt like he got forgotten about until midway through the game. But here they're like, all right, I got to go find my brother. I haven't heard from him.
Is that his actual brother or like a very close friend?
Tommy. That's his actual brother. He wants to
Okay,
go
so
find Tommy.
yeah, so it's the last thing. It's the last remnants of family he's got left, isn't it? So
Yep.
yeah.
So
like,
he wants.
because
Go
I
ahead.
like that. I like the fact that after that we just cut to Tess being basically having a ride beaten in, and then going to. I don't know who the guy is. That's basically touching a bath. Pen.
Robert.
No, but I mean the actor who plays it. I mean.
Yeah, I don't know the guy that plays him, but his name is Robert, and his gang basically beat the fuck out of Tess.
Oh,
Yeah.
she's from Fringe,
She's
apparently.
from
And
Fringe. Okay.
Synergy says, "Welcome, Synergy, to the stream."
Welcome. All right, so let me find my place.
Hello.
Okay, so yeah, he wants to find Tommy, and then alongside Joel's quest, Marlene is the leader of the Firefly Resistance, and she's hiding Veronica, but we know who she really means is Ellie. And for those of you that play the game, you totally understand it. And I like who they got for Ellie. She does not fuck around. She didn't take shit from anybody. They nailed that role. They cast the perfect person for her.
She was Lady Vormont in Game of Thrones.
Okay.
She played. She's an English actress, a young little English girl playing. But then again, Millie Bobby Brown's English, and she's very popular on Stranger Things.
Yep.
So there's no surprise there. But yeah, she's absolutely perfect for this role.
Yep. And here's the thing: Ellie is sarcastic. She's got a quick fucking wit. She is ahead of her time, and she was born into this post-apocalyptic world. So anything of like the olden time, like, oh, okay, like an ice cream truck or a barbecue pit, she's not going to know what the fuck that shit is.
Yeah, yeah.
She knows stuff from this time, from like the current time. And
I find that very fascinating, knowing that there are people born in the post, or they say post-outbreak, as they said, as Tess mentioned earlier. And I find that really fascinating, not knowing what the world truly was like. As well as everything happened in 2023, like they have slightly less advanced devices to keep, like right now, the way our phones are now, even
they weren't like that in 2003.
Yeah, you can have so much recorded devices. Yeah.
Like for like what I loved was the fact that kind of it gets hinted that Joel has become a much more different person now. Like the fact that Robert is going, like, I know who you're with, and I will make sure that he doesn't come after me and stuff like that. I was just like, it's like what's happened between 2003 and 2023? Like, what has he become?
I'd like to see them actually elaborate that if there was a Last of Us 3. Like if there was a Last of Us 3, I would want that game to be the prequel to like Last of Us 1 of like what the fuck happened, or like a midquel rather. Like what the fuck happened in those 20 years that made Joel the way he is. I'd like to see that actually happen, like how he met Tess and all that other kind of stuff. But okay.
20 years is a massive time jump.
It is.
You know what I mean? And there's a lot to talk about in those 20 years. So for sure, it'll be interesting to see how he ends up from Texas to Boston. All of these sort of things. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, because that's something that I thought was much better than the games, was the relationship that Tess and Joel have. Because in the game, it's a quasi relationship. Here, it's pretty much that they are.
What's up, Heisenberg?
Heisenberg evil. That was surprisingly nice. Yeah, of course they are. Yeah, she lies in bed with him straight away. At first, I thought the way the way it was filmed, I thought he was having a memory of maybe his wife or something. Because then he wakes up and there's nobody next to him, so I thought it was just him having a dream. But no, it was definitely Tess. But you couldn't tell initially if that was Tess or not because it was so dark and all of that. But yeah. So
getting back to
it, good looking guy, Pedro. Of course he's gonna, a strong, a strong alpha type. Of course he's gonna have, a lady in the post-apocalyptic world for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
But okay, getting back to it with Ellie, she's like, "Yo, what the fuck are we doing here?" And Marlene is like, "You got a purpose. Like, we have to get you the fuck out of here for reasons unexplained." And she's like, "Tonight we're getting the hell out of here." And here's a difference too from the game. In the original game, they meet up in like a restaurant or some such shit where there's like a freezer. Here they meet up in like an apartment complex, and Joel and Tess make their way through where people are shot, people are dead, Marlene is bleeding out because she got into a firefight.
I mean, this is a great jump scare where they turn around and there's a flaming. There's one affected literally like in the wall.
Yeah.
Explain that to me. Explain that to me, please. I want somebody to explain how he manifested himself into the fucking wall like that. I don't get
That's what I'd like to know. How the hell did that happen? Like, they got to start explaining this shit. Like, if there's a director cut, I want there to be deleted scenes that you can have spliced in, because there are some things that we need to know.
Well, this is the first episode, so I don't expect everything to explain in the first episode.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking to myself, what the hell's going on? Like, how do you end up being stuck to the wall like that? It almost felt like it was like the skeleton had broken out of a cocoon, so to speak. You know, which initially was on the wall, and yeah, I just found that really bizarre and hard to understand and everything. Heisenberg Evil says, yeah, it was great to see they stick to the game as close as possible. Yeah, which is what people want when they see an adaptation from video game to
the door, and it's got blue bloods, and they push it outside and then like Tess goes, oh, the guy tried to sell it twice, and the thing still doesn't bloody work. Yeah. And then like they go around the corner and they see Marlene. What was the name of the other person? Was it Eve or something?
Yeah, the one that has her fucking ear all cut off and shit. Yeah. I forgot what her name was.
Well, the funny thing is though that initially when they're the group Firefly, and they were talking about their battle plans, and people, they're supposed to be the resistance to the FedEx or whatever the hell they're called.
Fedra.
So Fedra, they're supposed to be the resistance to that. But the leader of that basically still is kind of being a dictator herself, follow orders and all of this sort of stuff when they're trying to be free. And they want to know what the hell's going on, but she's keeping her cards close to her chest. Mm-hmm. So really, this group of Firefly was no different than the people that they were. Because if you want people to be free and all of that and informed, then you got to inform them. But she wasn't informing them; she was just telling them to follow orders.
Yeah, follow fucking orders right now.
By the way, I did find this fascinating that when Ellie comes out of that room, she's got the knife, and he kind of looks down at the knife, and kind of like you kind of get the sense that he's already kind of looking at it because like his daughter had.
Yeah, he's like, you want to try me or something, you little motherfucker.
That his daughter had one that was like it in a room. Because did you guys catch that?
Yeah, I caught that
too. I remember. Well, okay, quick comment reading here. Sorry, 1 second. But with a twist where it made sense. Obviously you want adaptations to pay homage to the source material. At the same time, you want it to be a little bit unique. I totally get that. They seem to be fluffing it out well. Yes, they are.
Thus far, yes.
World building, for
world
sure.
Building. Yep.
Still salty. They didn't cast Nicola Costa-Waldau as Joel. That actor. Why do I know that actor's name?
Jamie Staff. Jamie.
Oh yes. Yeah. Too much Game of Thrones after that, man. I think Joel is a very good. I think Pedro Pascal is also equally well. And anyway.
Okay, so getting back to it, just to kind of speed things up a bit, but go ahead.
So 2 more comments here. It's all just another stage of evolution as the virus tries different things to spread. Just wait.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess after Resident Evil disaster, both movie and series, they listen to the fans for once. Well, this is a totally different.
This has got nothing to do with Capcom. Yeah,
but this is also like a totally different take on the zombie apocalypse. Even though some things do boil down to be the same, like the direction they're going is a little bit different as well, which is they're going with a world which has been very much used to the zombies, whilst so like the early Resident Evil games was more like it's happening as it speaks. Synergy Amazing will
do well here.
Do well here. Yeah.
Okay, so just to kind of speed things up a tad bit. Yeah, Joel and Tess like confront Marlene, and then they come up with like that proposition of like, hey, we need you to smuggle this little motherfucker, like take her out west. And then he's like, Tess is like, all right, well, here's the deal. We want everything. We want our guns. We want our truck. We want our battery. We want all this shit. If we don't get it, she dies. And then Ellie just goes without missing a beat. She's like, that fast, huh? And then it's like, Ellie, get your backpack up and let's get the fuck out of here. Let's go. I like that little thing that they did, like where it was like, we're not going to fuck around. We're going to take care of business. I like that scene.
Yeah. Yeah, I like with the bartering and stuff like that. Yeah, very I liked it too. And yeah, Ellie seems to be she's a smart girl. She seems to have a reasonable knowledge of certain things. Like when she was in the room with Pedro Pascal, she's got an idea of 80s music and stuff like that.
Yep.
You know, she's not totally oblivious to
that
what the world
different
wants.
styles of music means that indicate different things. Like 60s means that there's nothing here. 70s means that there's a new place, and that 80s means there's trouble.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, they almost end up getting shot, and then Joel has a flashback to basically what happens is they get the fuck out, and then it fast forwards kind of to that scene of like, oh, okay, you guys are exiting the fucking premises. We can't have that. So the guard that Joel was talking to earlier kind of tells them like, get your ass down, hands behind your head, eyes forward, that kind of shit. And then they try to barter with the guard, and he's like, yo, you could do this the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is you get hung for it. The easy way is you comply. And then basically, as the scan goes off, Ellie comes up red, Joel and Tess come up green, and Joel basically has a flashback to his daughter getting murdered, and he beats the fuck out of that security guard.
Yeah,
that
was
he
really
killed him.
Yeah, he killed him.
He's like boom, boom, boom.
He punched him to death. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He literally beat him to death.
Yeah.
That was pretty hard to watch because he's literally like that. He's literally like that for about a good solid minute or so.
But by the way, those elements are from the video game, like the stealth element, sneaking around. Okay, guards move. Let's go. Lights over here. Let's go. You know what I mean? Those are those elements of the video game implemented into the series and stuff like that.
And I liked it when she was like, holy shit, I'm actually outside. And Tessa's like, Jesus, get your ass down right now. Why are you doing this shit? And then, I love the intro with Dr. Newman explaining where the real in danger to the humanity is, the fungi. Yeah. That was the goodies that we didn't have in the game. Yeah, I like that.
Using fungus as the reason to the apocalypse was very different and very unique and very understandable at the same time.
I love the fact that both Tess and Joel are like, are you infected? And she pulls up the thing and it's like, and the bite mark is like there, but it looks like it's faded. He's like going, well, have I changed yet? And it's like,
it's like this is like 3, 4. This is like a few days old. Like everyone turns usually within a day or two, and she's like, yeah, I'm infected, but I'm not one of those that's prone to this type of thing. Like, yeah, I'm bitten, but I'm not prone to it. And then what happens is they end up getting back to the motel, and Tess just shoves Ellie in the room, and she's like, stay here. And then she's like, what the fuck? And then they go over the game plan, and she's like, you're going to hang out here with the kid because I got some business to take care of. Joel comes back, and he just lays down chilling on the couch. And then she's like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, I'm sure you'll figure that out. You'll figure out something to do. By the way, your watch is broken. And then she tells him about the radio. The song was "Wake Me Up Before You Go Go." That means 80s.
That's by Wham.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that means 80s means trouble. I cracked the code. Ha ha ha. And then that's the end of the episode.
Because the end of the episode is like they leave because
they leave to get out. Yep.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden we pan back to that motel, and the radio starts going, and it's 80s music. I think it's like
it's Depeche Mode, Best Friend.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, I love this. I'm like snapping my fingers.
And then all of a sudden we plan to literally like a scene for the game with that tower that's like that, and then all we hear is as it's like that literally put chills, and then we just cut to the credits. It's like,
well, you can't have an apocalypse film without one building not leaning on top of another building.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's how.
Well, that's just for the game.
And what's going to end up happening?
Yeah.
And what's going to happen next week? We get to see the clickers, and we might get to see a bloater next week. So I'm excited for that. But overall, okay, that's the end of the episode. Let's go ahead and give it our final ratings. We're coming up on about 50 minutes. I am going to go ahead and say, for me, I'm going to give it about, I think, actually a 10. I don't really have any complaints about the episode. I really liked it.
One time, so we'll read this comment here. Yeah, that twist with Sarah flashback that Joel jumped the guard, and he was his drug partner was indeed dope. Yeah, dope in various ways. I'm going to give this episode. I give it an 8, but the 8 is a very, very positive mark, and there's no real negatives for me other than still not really understanding what the hell's going on. But that you can't explain everything in the first episode
No,
anyway.
you can't.
So I don't begrudge that for that either. I thought this was fantastic. I really did. Maybe I'll give it a 9. Actually, I'll push it up to 9. Yeah, 9 out of 10 for the first episode. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was fantastic. I can't wait for more.
Yeah.
This. I mean, look, I gave up on The Walking Dead, but I got fatigued as fuck. I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I'm hoping that this show does have some resolution at some point, and that resolution shouldn't be what happened in Last of Us 2, because Last of Us 2 is a disgrace of a video game.
It's
and
a great game.
Story.
It's a great game with the gameplay, but the story is ass. I agree. I
Yeah,
don't
the
want
story,
them going
yeah.
into Last of Us 2
Well,
territory.
If you guys ever seen the cartoon series on Prime called The Invincible, I mean it follows the comic books to a degree, and same with The Boys. It follows the comic books to a degree, but then it goes its own direction.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Same with this. Like, you follow the source material to a degree. Say loyal to certain things, but then still go your own direction, so people are not being too predictable with this. And so it stays fresh in that particular sense. You do not copy Last of Us 2.
Don't.
9 out of 10. After you,
Okay.
Bossman, I'll read some comments.
Yep.
Okay. I thought this was probably one of the best pilot episodes, beginning episodes to a series I've seen in quite some time, because they knocked it out of the park. So I'm going to give it a 10, even though I understand where you're coming from, Zam, that you kind of maybe wanted a little bit more. Well, for me, the fact that they can build upon this, they can maybe show different things. They've got things that they can build lower upon. Well done. I'm intrigued to go forward with that.
Yeah, I can't wait till next week. Like, I think if it's going to be every Sunday night that they air it, I'm like, all right, cool, because that's what I'm watching for the next hour and 40 minutes on Sundays. I cannot.
I think
wait
this is the
till next
longest one
week's
they got, Jose.
Yeah. Maybe.
I think other people have said that this was like the longest one they got, and the other ones are going to be like more like 40 minutes ish, more than like an hour and a half. So
okay, so if they cut it down to an hour or 45 minutes, I'm okay with that too. I just can't wait to see where they go next.
Okay, let's just quickly get into the comments here. So yeah, that's JJ Abrams' style. We'll give you 80s music references, was cheesy but fun. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for me, you can't go wrong playing a bit of Depeche Mode. 10 out of 10 from Daniel Vance.
Yep.
Could easily sat there for 90 more minutes for sure. And we've got an UG here from Synergy, but regarding the JJ, I was worried that they revealed too much in the first episode already. Not really. I mean, they revealed enough, I think. Personally, I wanted more, but then again, I also realized you can't have any more. And maybe there won't necessarily be an answer to how all of this began. Like who was the first one? When did like the fungus start becoming like this sort of evil symbiote that takes over your body?
Yeah, the 20-year gap, like that's what we want. Yeah.
That was almost uncanny valley territory with oftentimes resemblances to the game, though. A solid 8
out of 10. Yeah, I can't argue. You're going to get anywhere between. You're going to get anywhere between an 8 to a 10 out of The Last of Us. I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. If there's a show called The Tulsa King, which I watched, I reviewed this show for this YouTube channel. Episode 1, the pilot for that was fantastic as well. If you like your shows about gangsters and stuff like that, Sylvester Stallone's in it. That's a fantastic pilot episode as well. I normally wait until the whole season is released, but not this time.
Yeah, not this time. I'm going through it every Sunday. I'm like, Sundays don't bother me. It's Last of Us Day. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't want you, the both of you, and maybe because I know that you've been saying that it's a zombie film, a zombie series. It's not a zombie infection series, but it still has zombie elements to it. But after the Last of Us, after the Walking Dead rinsed every bit of joy that was in the zombie. It was just good to see this, where there's tension, there's world building, there's stuff like that, and I'm invested.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm already ready for these next 6 days to hurry up.
The old woman twitching out of frame.
The frame was fairly creepy. I like
stuff
that.
like that. Yeah,
I liked it.
I love stuff like that. I mean, there is Fear the Walking Dead, by the way, which was the prequel series, which shows you how it all began. I never watched it personally because at that particular time I was burnt out on The Walking Dead. But
yeah, that's what I'm hoping that they don't do with this. I hope that they just keep it to just this particular series. And the thing is, we're walking. I know that you two were kind of a little bit negative towards Last of Us 2, and I kind of agree to a extent, but I do hope that they do change aspects, like, for example, Joel dying. Because the thing
that's
is,
what I'm saying. No, but that's what I'm saying, Bossman. Yeah, so for interrupting, but that's what I'm saying. Like, just go your own direction. Like, start with the basis, like the boys did, and like Invincible did, by following the law, but then go a different direction, so you're not predictable. Yeah, you know what I mean,
like, here's what I'd like to see when we get to the finale. To understand Abby, I'd like to see Abby actually in the room or like close to the room when Joel kills her dad.
No, I don't want that.
You don't want that?
I don't want him to kill the Fireflies either. I'm basically what wants to happen is, like, something happens where kind of like they can use maybe an aspect of her and that they do their own thing, but then Joel and. But I kind of want like a cliffhanger that maybe, like, some of her blood kind of still makes people change or something like that. Just something a little bit different than what we got in the game. That's just my pitch.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bossman.
I agree.
100%.
I'd like to see just something like a little different, like even if you just show Abby like just staring in horror, and then it's like, oh, okay, now I kind of get why they did what they did with Abby. Like, I just want that to like make sense if you're going to bridge that gap together. If you know what I mean.
I know, because I still don't want Joel to die because
nobody. That's the one thing they need to rectify, because nobody wanted Joel to die in Last of Us 2, because the way they had the sorry. Oh God. Yeah, nobody wanted Joel to die in Last of Us 2, and the way they promoted that game, you didn't think he was going to die.
No,
because they kind of realized, oh shit, we fucked up here.
Yeah,
on paper, it seemed like
I do like the fact that they're still keeping.
It wasn't.
I like the fact that they're still keeping Ellie a lesbian, which it's going to be. It's kind of.
Well, we don't know. We don't know yet.
We don't know yet. But we don't know that yet.
But I don't have no problem with that either. A lot of people lost.
I don't either. I just think that with this actress and the age she is, I kind of give it like 3 or 4 years before we go that sort of route.
Well, I mean, like I said, personally, like she's still young, so regardless of boys or girls, let her still play a child initially, and then when she gets a little bit older and she's a bit more mature, but she's only supposed to be a 15-year-old, so give her a couple more years, and then whatever role you want to put her in, straight, gay, bisexual,
whatever.
It won't matter. It won't matter. But leave that for the second season, in my opinion.
The
relationship, the father-daughter relationship is what we need in season 1.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
If you're going to end Last of Us, end it with Joel dying. That's how I'd like to see it go.
Really?
Don't go further than that. Yeah.
I don't know. I think people want Joel to live. Like, he's such a tough guy. Like, he seems to be a survivalist.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Or at least, if you're going to end it with them actually going home and then getting greeted by Tommy and his wife and all that shit, and end it there. We don't want Joel to die. I think that's a consensus here at NerdTube. Keep Joel alive, damn it.
I mean, to be honest, I thought Pedro Pascal was as good as Troy Baker, to be honest with you. And that's a very high bar.
Yeah.
Because I thought Joel was one of Troy Baker's best performances.
Yep. Does anybody else have anything to add before I take this thing home?
I just want, regarding Pedro Pascal and Joel, like I said earlier, keep them alive. We don't want to kill them off. Everyone did not appreciate that in the video game, and so this is something I'm hoping they'll rectify in the series. I just want to also add to all the new people who've joined us today, that we here at NerdTube on Tuesdays, which is tomorrow, I usually do a review of Quantum Leap with a guy called Commodore Boone, but Quantum Leap's on hiatus until the end of this month. So on Tuesday, January the 30th or 31st, I'll be doing the review for that. And then on Wednesdays we usually do National Treasure. Before that it was Willow, but we're going to be doing National Treasure on Thursday. I'll be doing Bad Batch on Wednesday. Thursday's National Treasure, and there's so many other shows coming up. I mean, very shortly we'll be doing Secret Invasion, won't we?
And then for the
Picard, Star Trek Picard as well, and then
for the Wrestleheads, I was going to say I will be doing the watch along for the Royal Rumble, pal. I'm going to be taking over creative. Ha ha ha. But anyway, folks.
Daniel Marks wants Joel. Yeah. All right, fair enough. All right,
Jose, I feel sorry for you having to watch the Royal Rumble because
I know.
Now with VK, I'm still in touch.
Now that he's back, I'm like, oh God, but yeah, I got to do it. I already committed to it. But anyway, guys.
The call's coming back. Probably.
Yep. But anyway, guys, if nobody else has anything to add, thank you, Gary. Thank you, Zam, for joining me. We are going to be here again next Monday reviewing Last of Us Episode 2. I don't know what the title's called, but we will be back. If you guys like what you hear, definitely give us a like, share on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell your grandparents, tell your cousins, tell your aunts, tell your uncles, tell your friends about NerdTube. We are the greatest YouTube channel that you kind of sort of heard of. So give us a like, share, subscribe, and bye-bye.
Adios. Live long and prosper.